This video is intended to explain some of the materials that we're sending home via email to our families about school reopening. So you'll receive an email and it'll have this attachment. It's a 2-page summary of our plan, and there'll also be a link to the larger plan, which is 17 pages long. That's on our website, and it has every one of the gory details of the plan if you would want to read the whole thing. And then our goal today is just going to be to kind of give you an overview of that plan. You'll also hear from Jennifer Mitchell, the elementary principal, and Jody French, our junior-senior high school principal as well. So the first thing I just want to talk a little bit about is that we as a school corporation acknowledge that the policies that we implement in our plan are really intended for the safety of our students and our families and staff. And they're also intended to mitigate but not totally eliminate the risk. No matter what we do, we cannot completely eliminate the risk associated with opening school and COVID-19. But the implementation of several coordinated interventions can greatly reduce that risk. And so that is what we've been working diligently to plan, is a variety of mitigation strategies that will keep students and staff and families as safe as we possibly can in the current environment that we're in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process that we've used to develop these plans. We pulled together a task force of people who are all stakeholders. So our school leadership team, we had teachers, school transportation, facilities, food service, office staff, and then we also invited some healthcare professionals. So our county health nurse, Sarah Gelhausen, served on the committee, and we had a physician also who is also a parent who was on our committee. And so they've been invaluable in having their input has been invaluable in the process. And so what we've ultimately come up with is a plan that allows us to move between stages. So the plan's kind of a green, yellow, red type plan, and we recognize that there's a chance that we'll be in any of these 3 stages at some point in the upcoming school year. And that we need to be able to move pretty nimbly among those 3 stages depending on what's happening with COVID in our state and in our community. So our goal is going to be to start school in a pretty traditional format where all of the kids are on campus. The fact that they're all here at the same time might be the only thing about the plan that looks pretty traditional, because we are implementing a lot of strategies to mitigate risk even when we are in the green plan, what we call the green plan. So we'll share a little bit about all of the stages and what they look like, but we're going to primarily focus on what school would look like in the green stage when all kids are back on campus, because actually if we're in the yellow stage, which is the hybrid stage where maybe part of the kids would be home and part of the kids would be here, we're using the same protocols would be in place in the yellow plan as in the green plan. And then in the red plan, everybody's working from home in an online setting. I also want to say right out of the gate, before I skip this part, it's pretty important, that all of our families will have the option to enroll their children in online school no matter what stage of opening Perry Central's in. So if we're in the green stage and we've got kids back on campus, but you're not comfortable sending your children back on campus, or there's someone who's a high risk in your home, or one of your children is, we have an online option for you, and you are welcome to enroll your kids that way. You have a survey link in the email that you're receiving. We're also putting that survey link on our website, and we need every family to complete that survey so that you can tell us what your intentions are, if you intend to send your kids back in person or if you intend to enroll them online. The one caveat that we're adding to that is that if you enroll your kids online, we need you to commit to their enrollment a quarter at a time. So if they start the year online, they'll stay online until the end of first quarter. At that point, if you're ready for them to come back on campus, you could switch them into a face-to-face format, or vice versa. So we need to do that a quarter at a time just to keep things manageable for our teachers, and to have some continuity in grading and those things. So that's that piece. But let's talk a little bit about what school would look like with all of our kids on campus in a COVID-19 environment. So first of all, let's talk about screening. We will ask all of our families to screen their kids before you put them on the bus in the morning or before you drop them off at school. So you'll need to ask them some questions about potential symptoms they may have and take their temperature. It's critical for families to keep their children home when they are sick. That's the very, very best thing that we can do is keep our kids home when they're sick. And we know that can be difficult on families, and we really encourage people to be thinking about what will you do if that happens and trying to make some contingency plans now. So you'll screen them at home. In terms of wearing of masks, Perry Central will supply every student and staff member with 2 cotton masks. The governor's giving us one of them, and we're going to purchase another. You're welcome to purchase additional ones for your children so that they have a good supply on hand, but we will supply 2, and then we'll have a good supply of disposable masks as well on campus. And so we are highly encouraging, recommending that kids and staff wear those masks, particularly when social distancing is not possible. So some important times would be, number 1, on the school bus. It's really critical that people wear those masks on the school bus because there's no way that we'll be able to be socially distanced on the buses. So that's a really important time. Bus drivers will wear a mask when your children are loading the bus and unloading the bus. They'll have that mask on. They may take it down while they're driving down the road, but when the kids load and unload, the mask will be on. We're really going to encourage kids to wear their mask in the hallways, and so Mrs. French and Mrs. Mitchell will discuss in a little bit what class routines and transitions are going to look like, but there will be some hallway passing periods, particularly for high school kids, and we'll really want them to wear their masks during that time. Our K through 8 kids really won't be required to wear masks in their classrooms. Again, we'll encourage them to if they go to the cafeteria that day and they're in the lunch line. There'll be times when we really encourage it. The only time a student will be required to wear a mask is if they're in small group work or partner work in the high school, because those kids are going to switch classes throughout the day. So Mrs. French will talk a little bit more about that piece. So that's our protocol with masks, and we will be teaching our students why it's important to wear a mask and how to care for their mask, how to take it on and off correctly, and all of those pieces. So let's talk about transportation. We talked about the fact that social distancing won't be possible on the buses, and that we encourage the wearing of masks and what drivers are going to do. We will provide transportation just like we always have. If we're in school in person and we have the after-school programs, if we're in school in person, we will have our after-school programs. And then we will also run the 5:30 routes. It'll be the same protocol for that. The buses will be cleaned with the disinfectant after each route. And we have a machine that fogs and disinfects, and so that piece, we're ready to go with that piece. And so we'll talk in a minute about arrival to school and departure from school on those buses because that will be a little bit different. But while we're talking about cleaning, we will be cleaning all high-touch surfaces throughout the school day. All classrooms and commons areas will be cleaned nightly, and all of our classrooms will have cleaning supplies on hand. So there will be hand sanitizer at every entrance and in every classroom. As students get off of the bus, they'll use hand sanitizer. As they go out to recess and come back in from recess, they'll use hand sanitizer. And we will have scheduled times throughout the day when they can go wash their hands with soap and water as well. So arrival to school when we're all on campus is going to look a little different. Our buses are going to pull up to the cafetorium doors, and they'll do that 2 buses at a time, one at each entrance, and students will unload. They'll get grab-and-go breakfast and take that to their classrooms, and they'll go straight to their first period class or to their homeroom class to eat breakfast. We do have some people who drop their children off at school, so we'll ask that drop-offs not take place before 7 a.m. Students who arrive between 7 and 7:35 will go to the Dome if they're in elementary, or to the high school gym if they're in junior, senior high. They will sit socially distanced 6 feet apart. They will read a book or study until 7:35, and at that point they will be released to their classrooms. We won't be able to do the basketball playing and those kinds of things in the gym in the morning before school. So those kids will be seated and they'll be in assigned seats until 7:35 when they get to go to their classrooms. So let's talk a little bit about lunch, since we talked about breakfast, and how that's going to be different. So lunch will be served in K2 in their classrooms. Grades 3 through 12 will, part of them will be in their rooms and part of them will be in the cafeteria, and there'll be no more than a couple of classrooms in the elementary and a grade level at a time in the junior senior high in the cafeteria at any one time. They will be seated socially distanced in assigned seats, and but we want to give kids an opportunity to go to the cafeteria on a rotating basis so they're not always in their classrooms. And while we're in the green zone, that'll be what we do. If we would happen to go to yellow, into the hybrid zone, we would eat all of our meals in classrooms at that point. It's also good to mention that kids are welcome to bring their lunch. So that's always been the case, and that continues to be the case. And we're also going to try to get outside when we can on days when there's good weather. Students will be asked to bring water bottles this year. We'll have plenty of water bottle filling stations around the school. We've purchased several more of those, and students will be asked to use those. They won't be able to use the water fountains in a traditional way. At the end of the day, when it's time to depart, students will be released to the buses in a staggered fashion so that we don't have 1,250 kids rushing out there at the same time. And then for parents who pick their students up from school, we'll have a new protocol for that as well. So the lower entrance to the dome is where we'll do student pickup at the end of the day. Families will opt in for that. So if you're a family that picks their child up, then there'll be a process through the survey that you do where you will opt in for that, and then we will assign your family a number. We will provide you a number to put inside your car in the windshield. So you'll pull up. The people who are manning this at the lower dome entrance will see your number. They'll look on and see that's the Smith family, and then get the students from the lower dome entrance and send them out to you. So we've had some laughs about how we know that's going to be probably have some bugs to work out of it those first few days, and so we're really hopeful that families will be patient and kind to one another as we work through some of those bugs the first few days. But we do have a pretty good plan for that, and we will send you in the mail the number for your car and the detailed instructions for how that works before school starts. So let's talk about what's going to happen if someone gets sick. First of all, I think it's important for us to note that, more than likely somebody's going to get sick. To think that we would be able to all be together and there be no cases of COVID-19, I think is unrealistic. So the important thing is for us to be prepared. This is the part of our plan we worked really hard on with our healthcare professionals and with the Perry County Health Department. So we are going to follow the guidelines from the Indiana State Department of Health in terms of how long people have to stay out of school if they get sick, and who gets quarantined in the event someone gets sick. So we'll just I thought it might be good just to have an example of what that could look like. So let's say that, I'll just use my daughter as an example. She gets sick, she tests positive for COVID-19. She's going to be in the 6th grade. So all of our 6th graders are going to be kept in their homeroom classes, and teachers will travel to them. We're minimizing the mixing of classes. So in that event, my daughter would be quarantined. She would be isolated according to the State Department of Health guidelines at least 10 days, and she wouldn't be able to come back until she had been 72 hours fever-free without the use of fever-reducing medications. And more than likely, all of her classmates in her homeroom would be quarantined for 14 days. Her teacher would be quarantined for 14 days. They would all go into remote learning during that period of time, and at the end of that, they would return to face-to-face school. Her classmates would not know that it was Mia or my daughter who had been sick. We would not be able to share that information. That's protected. But we would say to a parent, your child has been exposed to COVID-19, and according to the rules of the Perry County Health Department and the Indiana State Department of Health, the class has to be quarantined. Others who potentially could be quarantined because of exposure in this instance would be the children that my daughter plays with at recess. Because a close contact is considered someone who is within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more. and then likely if she rode the bus, the people who sit within 6 feet of her on the bus. So some things we're doing on the bus to prevent the number of people who would have to be quarantined. Students are going to sit by families on the bus, so siblings will be together, and they'll be in assigned seats. So we've got to do all we can to be sure that we can engage in contact tracing and really be able to tell who kids were around and who adults were around, so we know who needs to be quarantined and we can prevent the spread of the illness. So that's just one example. There are plenty of others. We have gone over those. We've done lots of scenario planning, and in the long version of our plan, that there's an appendix called Appendix A, and that is when a student, faculty, or staff member can return to school, and it lays out all of those scenarios and exactly what that would look like. So if you have specific questions around that, I would encourage you to email me or call me, and we can talk through those things. We will restrict visitors to the school this school year. We won't have volunteers or many visitors on campus. So for example, if you needed to pick your child up in the middle of the day to take them to the dentist, you would pull up to the visitor parking and call into the office, and we would send your child out to you. We're lucky that we have those windows there. We can physically look to see it's the parent and then send the child out. So those are some of the big picture things that we're doing. There are a lot more details, and the principals are going to share some of those details around what's happening in classrooms throughout the day in their section of this. So I guess ultimately what we want you to know is that the health and safety of your children is critical to us. The health and safety of our staff is critical to us. We also are a school, and our fundamental purpose is student learning. So we're trying very hard to balance these things. We're going to be listening to the governor. We'll be listening to our local leaders and doing all that we can to make the very best decision that we can make in the interests of health and safety and education. And so we just ask that as you have questions, you send those to us. We are listening, and we will get back with you with answers as soon as we can. As of today, we feel as though we will start school on August 11th. We fully intend to start school on August 11th, barring some unforeseen event or rule that someone would put into place. Which of the phases we start in, green, yellow, or red, is still to be determined, and it depends upon what happens in the state over the next couple of weeks. If Indiana is in stage 5, as we said before, we'll be back in school in the green plan, unless Perry County would be in a much different situation or something. So that's our plan. We will continue to communicate with you just as soon as we know what we're doing, exactly what we're doing and what it's going to look like. We will share that. But the plan is available on our website, and it lays out different options. So we'll be in green, yellow, or red, or some close version of that when school begins. And I just want to tell you that we are so excited to think about the students being back on campus. We have missed them. We miss you, and we look forward to serving you in the coming school year. We're grateful for you being part of our school community. So, Commodores, we will see you soon.
Hello, Commodores. I'm Jennifer Mitchell, the principal at Perry Central Elementary School. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about our expectations and guidelines and protocol looking forward to our 2020-2021 school year. First of all, we have missed your children immensely, and as nervous and as anxious as we are for starting this unknown adventure, we are very excited to see them. First of all, we're going to really try to social distance as much as possible in each and every classroom. We've asked our teachers to go through their rooms, remove any unneeded furniture, extra clutter, anything like that that would keep us from social distancing as much as possible. Our students will be seated as far apart as possible, desks facing all one direction, and when small groups are needed or a teacher wants to work closely with a student, we will ask both the staff member and the student to wear masks. We will also have limited movement throughout the day, but not so much to where kids aren't going to be able to be kids. So each classroom is kind of their homeroom, and they will travel with their homeroom wherever they go. We've also narrowed it down with each grade level team. 2 of the classrooms will travel together, where the other 2 travel at a different time, so that we don't have too many students in the hallways at one time. Recess is a big question that we've been asked about. We will still have recess. Yes, our kids will still be able to get out there and play, and we will try to alternate going out, and there are 5 minutes in between each recess to keep that congestion of meeting each other in the hallway from happening. We will be able to have a whole grade level at one time, but no more than 1 grade level. Health officials have asked us to limit it to 15 minutes outside of that time, and to kind of keep note of who's playing with who at recess times. They will have 2 recesses a day in pre-K through 5th grade. So we're very confident that we'll be able to get our students up and moving and have that social interaction like we know that they need outside whenever the weather is nice. Also lunches. Our pre-K, K, 1st and 2nd graders will eat in their classrooms or outside, weather permitting, every single day of the week. Our cafeteria staff, as Dr. Bishop had mentioned, is doing a wonderful job serving hot lunches in the rooms. Of course, every day your child is more than welcome to pack his or her lunch and bring those to school. For grades 3 through 6, every other day, half of the grade level will eat in the cafeteria, half of them will eat in their classrooms. So a grade level of 4 teachers, 2 of them are grouped as Perry, 2 of them are grouped as Central, and Perry will eat Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Central will eat Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we will alternate those every other quarter to make sure that everyone gets about the same amount of time in the cafeteria versus in their classrooms. Again, we will go outside and have a picnic style lunch as much as we can, and keeping those students as distanced as we can. We are going to provide a cloth mask, and then we will have a disposable mask for the students. We're going to ask them that if they are in a situation where they can't be more than 6 feet apart, to please put those masks on. Our students are usually pretty good about honoring that and taking care of each other and making sure that we all stay healthy. As Dr. Bishop mentioned, our pickup is going to be a little bit different as well as our drop off. In the morning, students are not going to be able to come into the building before 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to ask them to report to the dome. They are used to kind of playing and having some fun and activities in the dome. That will not be able to happen this year. So if they come into the dome before 7:35 when the buses arrive, then we're going to ask them to sit in the dome. We'll have that sectioned off by grade level, and we'll ask them to sit and read, maybe study, bring a coloring book or draw, something that's very stationary, so that they won't be up moving around. And then at 7:35 they can go to their first class, their homeroom class. And drop our pickups, if your student is a car rider, on the survey that you will be receiving tomorrow, there'll be a place where you check car rider, and your family will be assigned a number, and we will be releasing car riders at the bottom of the dome. Staff will be there to help to make sure that each family gets into the right vehicle, and coordinating those numbers. Since we cannot have a normal back to school cookout like we normally do, where you meet and greet your teachers, our teachers and we are excited to say that we are going to have a virtual online meet and greet. So be looking for videos to meet a grade level team of teachers, and or meet your individual teacher, and how your teacher will be communicating with you, how to join in with a maybe Class Dojo or Class Tag or Remind 101. Those teachers have different ways of communicating that they're comfortable with and familiar with. So in those virtual introductions, be looking for that information of how to join your class information and get all those nitty-gritty details. Our preschoolers this year, they will be starting after Labor Day. So that gives us a good 3 weeks to get our K through 6 people in and get them settled and make sure that we have things running smoothly for those. And then we'll bring our little guys in right after Labor Day. So our Monday, Tuesday preschool groups will come on September the 8th Tuesday, and then our Wednesday, Thursday class will start that very next day on September the 9th. Be looking for your days and your child's teacher assignment towards the end of July, and then we'll have those ready to go. We'll probably mail a little postcard or something to our preschoolers to let them know. We do have the option for families to go strictly online if that's a preference for you, if that's what's best for your family. And our teachers will be using the Google Classroom platform, so you can log in and kind of be familiar with that with your other kids. We are asking you to commit to a quarter at a time. So if you commit at the beginning of this year to online, we're asking you to stay until the end of the first quarter before you switch back to face-to-face, or vice versa. If you start face-to-face and you decide you need to go online, we're asking you to do that by quarter instead of going back and forth, so that it's easier for our teachers to maintain and keep up with. You will most likely be seeing lessons taught by the grade level team, just to make it feasible and more efficient for our teachers. And then your homeroom teacher will be assigned to your child's records and grading and feedback and all that other stuff. And they'll be setting up face-to-face if they need to, or a time to meet with you. Our teachers will have office hours, more than likely during their preps and possibly their lunches, to where they'll get online and check and see what your child needs if you're strictly online. That is all of my little pointers for today. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to call our office. Someone will be in the office every day starting July 20th. We, again, cannot wait to see your kids. We have missed them, and please tell them that we are looking forward to seeing them, and I hope they have a great rest of the summer. And as always, tell them I wish them well.
Hello, Commodores. My name is Jody French, and I'm principal at Perry Central Junior Senior High School. And it's an honor to be here today to share with you our reentry plans for this coming school year. Things are going to look a little different around here, but I know that we can all work together and make the best of the situation. So students in grades 7 and 8, they are going to operate on a totally different schedule than our high school groups. Their days would look much different. 7th graders will be staying in the same groups, in the same classroom most of the day together. So teachers will rotate to their classroom for instruction. They will not utilize a locker. Their materials will stay in the classroom. They will be allowed to go out of the classroom for lunchtime, a modified PE, also their 7th period mini class. We want to let them get out of the classroom a little bit for that, but they will always stay in that same group. And this is so that we can maximize the contact tracing opportunities in the school. 8th grade will do almost the same, except they will be in the same groups all day long, but they will be released out to their locker for a passing period. They're going to be on a separate bell schedule than the high school. So during their passing period, only 8th graders will be in the hallway, and it'll be a shortened amount of time. They will have a separate lunch period. They get to eat earlier in the day, and I think they're going to like that because usually by lunchtime they're very hungry. So the earlier lunch should be good for them. 7th grade will eat in the cafeteria 2 days a week, and 8th grade will eat there 3 days a week. When they're not in the cafeteria, they will be getting grab and go, or they're always welcome to bring their lunch at any time. We are encouraging our assistants and teachers to take the students outside as much as possible so that they can get some fresh air, especially during this time. PE is going to be a little bit different as well. Students in grades 7 and 8 will not dress out for PE. They will have PE and physical education activities, but they will not dress out, and we will not use the locker rooms during this time. High school is going to be a lot the same. They will operate on the same bell schedule. We are going to highly encourage masks during passing periods because grades 9 through 12 will be in the hallway during the same time. We are going to encourage them to get their materials and get back to class as quick as possible. They will also have split lunches, so grades 9 and 10 will eat what we would normally call first lunch. One grade will be in the cafeteria, the other grade will have locations to go for grab and go, and then they will alternate those. 11th and 12th grade will eat during our second lunch period, and they will also alternate who is eating in the cafeteria and who has a grab-and-go meal. Lockers will be a little bit different. Unfortunately, we won't have the 12th grade hallway or the 8th grade hallway. We are going to utilize lockers alphabetically so that we can maximize the space that we have to spread the students out when they do have to go to their locker to get their materials. Students do not have to have a clear backpack this year, but we will be asking them to leave their backpacks in their lockers. They will not be able to take them into the classrooms, except for 7th grade, because 7th grade will be in the same room every day. A little bit about the classroom procedures. Just a few things that we're trying to do to help keep our faculty, staff, and students safe during this time. We are going to be spreading them out in the classroom as much as we physically can. We're going to get creative with our seating, so hopefully we can give students the space that they need. All the students will be facing the same direction in the classroom. They will have assigned seats in every classroom, and that's going to be very important for contact tracing. Students will be able to utilize small group projects, but during the small group time, that's when we will require masks in the classroom. If a student chooses not to wear a mask, they can still participate in the activity or the learning material, but they will have to do so by themselves. The masks are required if they cannot be 6 feet apart. We will be cleaning a lot during the classes. 7th graders, since they're in the same room all day long, they will clean the room midway through the day. All the classrooms that have students in grades 8 through 12, those will be cleaned at the end of every period. Teachers will be wiping down seating for the next group of students that will be coming through. All of our students have an online option this school year. We are asking that students make the commitment to go online at least 9 weeks at a time. So if you wanted to start the school year off online, you may do so. We are going to ask that you cannot come back to a face-to-face model until the end of the first 9 weeks. This will help us to manage the system and make sure everyone gets the feedback and the information that they need to be successful in the classroom. We will be utilizing Google Classroom as our learning management system, and teachers will be uploading videos of themselves teaching the courses. So we hope that this will help with learning as well. We will be posting office hours so students can get help during this time. Students will not be required to get online at a certain time, but meeting the deadlines is going to be very important for attendance purposes. So we know that some of these changes are a little bit different, but we're going to make it, and we're looking forward to seeing all of our students back here. We've missed them. The building has been very quiet. So thank you for allowing us to serve your children, and we look forward to a great school year. Thank you.